we struggled a little bit on a quiz yesterday on algebra, so I wanted to go ahead and work out these problems and work out an additional problem so you can kind of have a video to reference when we're solving these simple algebraic expressions. It's one of those things that you're just going to have to know how to do. You can't hardly do physics without being able to do algebra, and the physics is one thing, but the algebra is going to have to come. It's going to help you in math too. So if you follow along, then hopefully you can get good and help you in both classes. The first equation that we did, I asked you to solve for z, and the expression was x equals y plus az. So the first thing that you needed to do is realize that z was in a term right here. And we have to ask ourselves, what is being done to that term, to the entire term? So we see that it's, y is being added to it. So we have to get rid of the y on this side. Because remember, we're solving for z, and we're trying to isolate z on one side of the equation. So we have to take y, and we've got to move it over here. And we do that because it's added to az, then we can subtract both sides by az. Subtract both sides, I'm sorry, by y. So you subtract y by both sides, and you end up with x minus y is equal to a times z. We still have this term with the variable that we're looking for, and nothing is being done to the term. So no addition, no subtraction. So now we move to multiplication and division. So we see that z, what we're solving for, is being multiplied by a. So we got to get rid of that a by dividing by it. So we divide both sides by a. And when I say both sides, I mean both sides, the entire side. X minus y, you can think of that as being in parentheses. So a divided by a cancels out to 1, and that leaves us with z on this side of the equation. And on this side, it's x minus y, and all that is divided by a. And there's our answer. Z equals x minus y divided by a. The second problem that we looked at was 10 over x plus 6 is equal to 11. So we're going to approach the problem the exact same way. We see that the x, what we're solving for is in that term. What is being done to that term? Well, I see it's being added to 6, or 6 is being added to it. So I subtract both sides by 6, and that leaves us 10 divided by x is equal to 5. 11 minus 6 is 5. Now from here, you can kind of conceptually figure out the answer. This expression right here says 10 divided by what is equal to 5? Well, when you think about it, 10 divided by 2 is equal to 5. So we know the answer is 2. But sometimes we get an equation that it's not really that easy to figure out. I'm going to show you one in just a second after we do this one, that you won't be able to do it that way. So we have to be able to do this algebraically. The problem we have here is that x is in the denominator, and we have to get it in the numerator. There's a whole bunch of ways to do that. I'm going to show you one right now. The easiest way to get x in the numerator is to take x and move it over here, and you do that by multiplying by x on both sides. So you multiply by the denominator on both sides. So x times 10 is 10x divided by x is equal to 5 times x. I just kind of distributed this x to the 10. So 10 times x divided by x, these x's cancel and go to 1. So 10 is equal to 5 times x. You divide both sides by 5, and you get x is equal to 2, just like we said. Sometimes it's not that easy to see. So let's look at a problem that you have to actually go through the steps. (10 minus 8 divided by x plus 2 is equal to 18. And we're solving for x. x is in a term, this term right here. Something's being done to that term. It's being subtracted from 10. So we got to get rid of this 10 right here. So remember, there's an implied positive sign right here. So we have to subtract off 10 from both sides. Remember, whatever you do to one side of the equation, you have to do the exact same thing to the other side of the equation, and the entire side. So 10 minus 10 is 0, that knocks that out. So we're left with negative 8 over x plus 2 is equal to 18 minus 10 is 8. So here is where it's kind of hard to, figure out what that number is going to be. So remember, before the problem before, we noticed that x was in the denominator. X is also in the denominator in this problem. So we got rid of it on this side and moved it to this side by multiplying both sides by the denominator. So I'm going to multiply both sides by the whole denominator, x plus 2. I'm going to multiply this whole side by x plus 2. So I can distribute that out through the 8 for the 8. So you get negative 8x minus 16 over x plus 2, or I could just simply know that x plus 2 and x plus 2 cancel out, and it leaves with negative 8. So you're left with negative 8 equals, go ahead and distribute that out, 8x plus 16. And now it's a simple linear algebraic equation that we're going to keep using the same technique, saying that's the term that x is in that we're solving for. What's being done to that term? Well, 16 is being added to it, so let's get rid of 16 by subtracting 16. So you get negative 24 is equal to 8 times x. Nothing is being done to this term, but x is being multiplied by 8. So you divide by 8, and you end up getting x is equal to negative 3. Negative 24 divided by 8 is negative 3. So if we plug that back into our equation, we say 10 minus 8 times x plus 2 is equal to 18. And we said that that negative 3 should be plugged in for the x. So 10 minus 8 divided by negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1 is equal to 18. 8 divided by negative 1 is negative 8. So you get 10 minus a negative 8 equals 18. When you subtract a negative number, it's like you're adding. So you say 10 plus 8 is equal to 18. 18 is equal to 18. We've checked our answer and we're correct. Hope that helps.